Last time you ranked Dante's weapons, this time it's time for the deadweight, I mean Nero's weapons. So before we get into it, Nero's weapons are a bit different than Dante's as most of them are devil breakers, which are robotic arms that Nero uses in combat. He still has a sword and gun though, so we are going to be ranking the Red Queen, Blue Rose, and the devil breakers. We won't be including the devil bringer because I don't count that as a weapon. I count it as a power. So let's get right into it. This barely even counts as a weapon. This is just a reskin of Helter Skelter. They legit just added this for like... what did they add this for? Okay, sure, yeah, it somehow does more damage than a Helter Skelter, but the problem is you can't buy it from Nico's van. It's only sometimes gonna pop up during a mission. So you're just better off decking yourself out with a load of Helter Skelters than hoping you'll find a monkey business lying around. It will get you more damage in the long term. Funny idea, not too good of an execution. Also, you can't use it in Bloody Palace either, so this is the most useless arm in the game. Alright, Kyrie's favorite arm. What does this arm do, you may be asking? It heals you. So you may be saying, why did you put this on number 14? Seems like a good arm. And what I will say to you is, no it's not, shut up. And then calmly explain why it's not. So yeah, the arm does heal you, which may be good for newer players. But come on, there are green orbs lying around the place everywhere. And then for pro players, the way I see it, you don't play DMC to stop and heal mid-fight. Oh, wow, voice crack. You don't play DMC to stop and heal mid-fight. Nobody will ever use this one because they don't need it. And also the sound effect it makes. Yeah. And the charge attack is just a breakaway that gives out a burst of health. An okay arm for beginners, not a good one for pros. Okay, so kinda like Monkey Business, this is just a reskin of Punchline but without rocket riding. The charge attack is a mix of Overture and Punchline in which he attaches the fork to an enemy and then just like the standard attack, it flies around stabbing them. But this one I find funnier than Monkey Business. And also this arm has a very interesting feature where it rotates your Devil Breaker magazine. And what I mean by that is, for example, I have Posture Breaker, Overture and Monkey Business for some reason. And when I launch the fork from Posture Breaker, it will rotate Overture and Monkey Business around, which means that if Overture was my next arm, that's no longer the case. My next arm will be Monkey Business. That's the only unique feature though. And it is cool, but everything else is just Punchline with no rocket riding. Mega Man arm! It's got infinite projectiles, which is good, but Nero already has the Blue Rose, so... sorry, Mega Buster. But no, seriously, it does shoot faster than the Blue Rose, but it is weaker. It works in this way. It shoots out a strong-ish projectile, and then it goes on a cooldown, so you only have the weaker ones. Then strong, then weak. And the charge is basically a charge shot like from the Blue Rose, but charges faster. Obviously, it destroys the breaker though. And also, it changes Nero's jumping animation, which is the best feature of it. Overall, you're just better off using Blue Rose. Alright, so this arm is basically a drill, and it's decent. Its standard attack is just drilling the thing into a demon's face, so it's okay but nothing special. But the attack that is great on this arm is the charged one, in which Nero basically charges into the opponent and spins the Helter Skelter, lifting himself and the demon in the air like a tornado. And like we said on Monkey Business, this does do less damage somehow, but you can buy this one from Nico unlike Monkey Business, so you are better off using this one in the long term. Tomboy is an interesting one that I don't really use much. So this arm basically overcharges the Red Queen and Blue Rose, allowing them to hit heavy. Downside, slows Nero down, obviously. But on the other hand, it gives the player a lot to work with. Let's start with the Blue Rose. Nero uses the arm to properly aim at an enemy. When you shoot it, it lets out a powerful blast damaging the opponent. And the Red Queen may hit slow, but it does have some cool looking stuff. He can dash towards the enemy, launching them in the air, and if you are skilled enough, you can combo it. Also another one is when Nero is in the air and spins down, hitting the enemy till Nero hits the ground. It's an interesting arm and it's cool and flashy. I just don't use it much. This arm has the ability to slow down time. Its standard attack is most useful against fast enemies like Furies or even the Hell Judecas. If you slow them down and then combine that with that Buster, it's a guaranteed kill. And the charged attack is even better as it's able to slow the whole room down. So if you are in a room full of Furies, use the charge drag time and Buster them after. Great arm on fast enemies, which makes an opportunity to kick off your combos too. This arm uses chains as a weapon, and what I mean by that is that the arm lets out a big chain which Nero can use to combo the opponent. It looks really nice, especially in combos. The charge attack grabs the enemy and does guaranteed damage. The charge attack isn't my favorite, but the standard attacks on this arm are sweet. And the arm also has decent range, so you are able to hit enemies who are further away. Okay, so against normal enemies, you might as well just use the standard buster that's in the Devil Bringer, but the buster arm is amazing on bosses. And you may say, why not use the normal buster on the bosses? And I say, shut up, I'm speaking. So, unlike the normal buster, you can charge this one, and the charge buster arm deals so much more damage to bosses. Take Virgil for example. Look at the difference a normal buster does to him compared to the charged arm. It's insane. I don't use it on standard enemies because there is no point of charging it on normies, and also the arm breaks if you get hit during the animation like any other arm. And the standard buster arm attack does the same amount of damage as the Devil Bringer, so yeah. Use the Devil Bringer on normal enemies, buster arm on bosses. This arm is so much fun. First off, it uses shockwaves that launch you around the map, which is so fun to use, and you're able to carry demons with you too. Its neutral attack is an attack that pushes demons away, which is decent, but when you charge it, that's when it gets nuts. On the ground, this thing shoots out a giant laser, destroying enemies. And if you charge it in the air, it launches a ton of smaller projectiles, which I think the air one is better to use because it can take out more enemies. So yeah, overall, I love this arm. It's amazing. Okay, this is kinda the same thing as the Gerbera, but it changes the neutral. Instead of pushing the enemy back, Nero launches himself and the demon in the air in a straight line. And the charge projectiles are now purple. Not much to say here. I think this one is better though, due to the neutral. In my opinion, this is probably the most useful arm here, even though we still have one more after. Anyway, the Overture's main attack blasts out a powerful electric attack pushing enemies back, and I think it's a great combo finisher. And I don't know if you knew this, but this arm has a cooldown period and how strong it is. So if you do one attack with it, then another, the second attack won't be as strong. Luckily the cooldown period is really quick. And his charge attack is Nero planting a bomb on the enemy. And that bomb will either detonate by itself or you can shoot it to detonate. Very useful arm. Love it. While the other was the most useful, this one was the most fun, and it's still really useful. So with this arm, you are able to launch it off your hand and it's gonna be hitting the enemy multiple times. You can also call it back whenever you want, and if you hold the callback button, you can ride the arm, which allows for even more attacks. It's so awesome and so much fun. Though be careful, cause it can automatically explode while you ride it. So if you hear a beeping noise, you best get off it. Then the charge attack boosts up the arm and Nero does a really powerful uppercut with it. I love this arm, my favorite arm in the game. This gun is OP. I mean it, it's really good. Its standard shots are decent already, but you can charge this gun and release it for even more powerful blasts. First stage of the charge shot enhances your bullets for 3 shots. The second shot makes the first bullet a lot stronger, and the other 2 bullets are like the first charge. The other charges enhance the first shot even more. And it's OP as hell. Like, take Virgil again. I know I'm using him a lot, but still. Nero's gonna wreck him, whether he is in Devil Trigger or not. And if you remap your gun button to R2 on your controller, you can charge the gun while doing combos, which allows you to implement the charge shot into combos. It genuinely is so good and is one of Nero's best way to get easy damage, especially when the gun's charged. Nero's best weapon is his sword, the Red Queen. For starters, this sword has an exceed system, meaning you can rev the sword for more damage. There are different types of revving you can do. You can just stand there and rev the sword, which you will pretty much only see new players do. But then if you time your rev to your attacks, the sword will get revved, giving you a boost to your attack. And then if you time it perfectly, it will get you to the max exceed. And these exceeds boost your speed and damage by a lot. And if you combine that with the Blue Rose charge shot, you are gonna devour. And the Red Queen has a lot of moves like High Roller, which launches enemies into the air, allowing for combos. And when the sword is exceeded, it will launch the enemy higher and deal more damage. Then there is Streak, which Nero dashes to the enemy, attacking and dealing a ton of damage. Exceeding, of course, deals more damage. That's only to name a few moves, by the way. This sword is amazing and so much fun. Well, that was fun. You agree with my ranking? If not, then that's okay. If you want, you can share yours in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, leave a like and subscribe.